am here with one of my favorite render engine nerds. Like, Chad, you were kind of like my mentor in a way. Like, you're at the level where I want to be with Cinema 4D. Like, like when it comes to like your knowledge base and like how much you know, like you're asking us questions on Skype, and I was like, I don't know, ask Dave. Dave knows more about this, I'm like, if you don't know it, then I doubt Dave knows it even, But like, I don't know, like, I think that was just a completely random thought that I had.
Thank you.
Anyway,
I appreciate that.
But so you came on to Grayscale Gorilla about a year ago, right?
Yeah, it was about a year ago. April, probably like 14th or something was my first day a year ago. But I had been, so towards my end at DK, I was already starting to work with Nick and like doing things with Grayscale Gorilla. And then it kind of turned into like, well, maybe we can make this work full time. And I was like, yeah, I mean, if we can do it, let's do it, because I was ready for a change. I was ready for a lifestyle switch up. I had been commuting, really working long hours. You know how that goes. So when I started using Cinema, I think it was at Half Res 2 years ago. I came to Half Res and I found Nick and I said, Nick, I'm going to learn Cinema 4D. And he just gave me a hug. And he said, I'm so happy right now. And then, a year later, I'm working with him, and like we're together and it's great. Yeah, it's the best.
I was telling Nick yesterday that I feel like you were an excellent person to bring in. Like probably one of the best people that they could have brought in to really expand the Grayscale Gorilla brand because of your knowledge base, and especially like with the render wars, as you guys call it,
Yes.
like that has been like a big thing that people have been talking about left and right.
Yeah.
And I feel like with your knowledge base, like you were able to add this whole extra dimension to Grayscale Gorilla that, I felt like it was kind of missing. And I think a lot of people felt like it was missing. But like now it's like with you and Chris and Nick, they all kind of like meld together.
I like to think that the three of us have different enough perspectives on the industry and just even life that when we get together, it just works because we're not all the same, we don't all have the same opinions, we don't have the same ideas, and that's what makes for a good like cohesion, because you want people that complement you that aren't the same as you. And when it comes to like rendering and stuff, like I've just always been a nerd like that. Like when I was using 3ds Max back in the day, I used Mental Ray, Brazil, V-Ray. I tried them all back then, and so I've always kind of been really interested in it. And so when I came to Cinema 4D and started learning what all the renderers they had, really honestly, that's what brought me to Cinema 4D. I never really took it all that seriously until I saw all these third-party renderers coming out. Like Arnold was coming out, I saw Octane was happening, and I was really excited about Octane. So it's really like, it was the catalyst that kind of pushed me over the edge into cinema, I think, just the rendering opportunities. And now, like, there's so many different rendering choices out there for people that it's absurd, as you know. We talked about it before, and everybody always asks me, what should I use? Yeah. What should I use? And the question can't be answered that simply, unfortunately. You just got to ask, like, well, what do you work on? What do you do? Like, I don't know. Like, what do you want to make? Yeah. And then they tell me, and then I can kind of give them an idea, And sometimes it's physical, sometimes it's Octane, sometimes it's Arnold, sometimes it's Redshift, and it depends on the work that you do. So you never really know until somebody comes up and says, I want to do this, I want to do that. But first thing I always say is, what is physical not doing for you? And
That's good.
Then, that way I can get an idea. Well, I don't think it's not fast enough. Okay, well, maybe you should look at GPU, like just get an idea of what they're after, and I can help them that way. But
I'm kind of embarrassed to say this, but I've never actually used physical renderer.
Really?
Like, yeah, I went from standard renderer, just the standard C4D renderer, straight into Octane. And it
really?
It kind of just like blew me away. I mean, Octane is, it's fast.
Yeah, I mean, dude, when you,
and the IPR is like, crazy. Yeah, I drank the Octane juice.
No, I know. Yeah, I know. Believe me. But I will say that like physical is very capable. It's totally capable. It's not as fast as all the crazy ones that are out there. You can make it fast if you know how to use it right. But when I first started at GSG, I knew I was going to have to learn physical because all the tools work in physical, right? So I spent a good amount of time like trying to understand what it was, how it worked. And the first couple things that I made in physical, I was really happy with because they turned out good, and it's a fantastic renderer.
Yeah, I will say a lot of the stuff that I've seen in physical render is actually really excellent.
Yeah.
It looks great. We were even watching Nick's just preview presentation for all the people at the Maxon booth before everything. The stuff he was doing with like luminance and like ambient occlusion and stuff, I was like, oh wow, physical actually has a lot to offer. I'm kind of kicking myself because I'm not trying it.
It's difficult once you've kind of like experienced GPU enhanced IPR or even Arnold IPR. You're just kind of like, oh, I can't live without IPR now. No matter what renderer I use. And
but like he was bringing down settings enough to where like it was almost like having an IPR.
So the funny thing about that was like he watched me using Arnold, and he built a layout like mine. He wanted to see if he could build a layout like mine and like try to make it feel as much, and he did, and he gave it out in a tutorial. I think it might be on our site still, but where he uses like the progressive mode in physical to kind of emulate what's happening in like Octane or Arnold or something. And it's good. I mean, if you have a good enough CPU, it's pretty rad. And if you don't have budget to buy Octane or graphics cards or Arnold, then physical, it's good.
Yeah, it's great. Okay, so let's talk some render engines more so.
Sure, yeah.
You're on the now. I don't know if we can talk about this or not but you're on the RedChip Beta.
Yep.
Alpha.
And
Alpha.
Not even
Alpha.
in
Yeah, Alpha. Right. But in I am as well, and I feel like it's a really sturdy Alpha.
Yeah. I mean, I've been in a lot of alphas that suck. And you're just like, oh my God, how's this ever going to get to production? And I feel like they're doing it right. They're opening up this alpha to just about anybody that says, hey, look, I'm a professional. I'm not going to like be a jerk and like tweet out all the secrets and all that. Right. They'll let you in, and then you can play with it and really see what it can do. But if you give them feedback, that's really what they're asking for. I mean, I've
noticed they're very active on the forum.
Yeah, you have to be because, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, If you get in there and say, hey, listen, I really wish this worked better, I really wish that worked better, and if you get enough +1s in the forum post of your feature request, the developers have to listen to you. Yeah. So just be active. If you do join the alpha, get in there, make sure you're being heard, even if it's something that, you feel like, I'm not really sure if they would even care about this. Just post it anyway.
Yeah. Arnold V just came out.
Oh man, love it. Yeah. Love it.
I was watching your GSG live stream. Sorry, I was Skyping you saying, dude, please turn your thing around. Sorry.
No, dude, that was hilarious.
No, I felt bad. I was like, I don't want to interrupt him, but come on.
Listen, man, those kind of mistakes are the best.
Yeah.
Like when that happens, like I just try to roll with it. I feel bad because everybody's like yelling at me, like, what are you doing? Switch to the other thing. And I'm like, I don't know, like I'm sorry. But yeah, it was fun.
So like we were kind of hoping that there might be some GPU stuff with Arnold, and so I was kind of disappointed, but like, are you really happy with the way the new one came out?
Yeah, I think, well, I knew that GPU wasn't going to be a part of 5.
Really?
Because think about it, like everything that he had been talking about, Marcos and the team, and had been slowly kind of leaking out via Twitter and stuff, was talking more about the blue noise reduction, which is basically, it's not like noise in the blue channel or anything like that. It's like it's over my head mathematical term about noise that he figured out a way to eliminate. So
I was looking at some of the sample renders. Gosh, it's killer. Yeah.
It's really killer. And so I knew that none of that stuff had been talked about in a GPU fashion. So I just kind of put 2 and 2 together and thought, okay, they're going to do 5. And then they must be going to GPU, work on that, maybe focusing on that after 5. But all speculative. I don't really know. But I will say that 5 is fantastic. They sped it up tremendously.
Yeah, I've heard there are some significant speed,
dude,
like
so much faster. Yeah. And then the new Uber shader is fantastic because it's more of like a PBR shader, so a physically based, kind of shader. Yeah. And it comes kind of preset with these like little presets. So like you can say dielectric, metal, whatever, plastic, and then you can dial in like, do you want gold, do you want copper, and it gets you a nice starting point for your materials. Okay. Glass, that sort of thing. So you're not having to like recreate, things over and over and over again. Like, oh, how did how did I do this? And it has subsurface built in, so you just literally drag the subsurface up, and it's done.
Yeah.
I mean, all those
I will say
things.
something like that with RedChip, the volumetric lighting. Oh my gosh, like that blew me away. Especially coming from Octane, where it's like creating volumetrics is like, it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah, no, the volumetrics both in Arnold and RedShift are phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, they work great.
Yeah.
It's just, it's not even a big deal.
Yeah. So Octane, have you had a chance to try out the new adaptive sampling?
No, that's 3.06, right?
3.06. They released the 3.06 like test 4, and it's got adaptive sampling in the path tracing and in the direct lighting.
I'm interested to try it. I haven't had the time to download it. I'm on 3.05 right now, and it was acting kind of weird for me, so I think I need to download the new one and actually install it.
It's pretty solid. So here's one thing. Dave was working on an animation, and when we were doing the dead mouse stuff, and so he's in path tracing, and it's like, no, he was in direct lighting at like 4,000 samples, and we were getting tons and tons of noise, right? So we went on to path tracing, turned on adaptive sampling at 4,000 samples. He was able to bring it down to 256 samples. And it worked. Got rid of all the noise.
That's great.
It's crazy killer.
That's good. I want to try the triplanar.
Yeah?
Triplanar suit.
Yeah.
Have you played with that yet?
I have not, no.
So triplanar is like my favorite new thing, and like all the renders are starting to have it now. Like Arnold has it, Octane has it, I think in 3.06. You know what it is? It's like box mapping, a cubic map.
Right.
When you use, like, if you don't want to UV this mic, you'd be like, oh my God, I'm going to UV this mic, it's going to take me forever. I'll use a cubic map.
Right.
But on the edges, you get those seams because it's just a projection of a cube.
Right.
Well, triplanar mapping, what that does is it allows you to blend those corners together and feather your corners.
Oh, cool.
So you don't have to UV stuff as much. And if you're like me, cinema's not the best at UVing.
Yeah.
Not afraid to say that. But it's definitely helpful, and the ability to use triplanar in Octane and Arnold is awesome. So you don't have to like UV everything that you had to before, so it's good. Yeah.
Okay, well, last question. Let's go back to GSG.
Okay.
You guys are releasing, releasing a lot of plugins and stuff like that. You got a new version of Signal coming out soon. Is there any? I asked Chris this. Is there any one particular like plugin that you find that you're going to all the time, that you absolutely love, that you think like people can't live without?
Oh, yeah.
Like for me. Like HDRI Link, as soon as I bought that has become a staple in my workflow.
Me too.
Like I bring in our plugin, our Quick Sky, and I immediately throw the GSG HDR Link in it because it works perfect. It works seamlessly with it. Yeah,
Oh, that's
like
great.
it's great. So like I just I do a custom HDR, throw in my file thing right in, and it works. And it's like,
great.
okay, great. It's awesome. It's even working. It's plug-in for a plug-in for a plug-in. It's like that's great.
It's like third dimension.
Yeah, I know. But is there any one in particular that you're like, I can't live without this one? This is my go-to.
I think the one I use, I'm with you. HDRI Link all the way. Like, and I've kind of become dependent on it to the point where it's like kind of sad. But I think that, and then a close second would probably be Signal. I think I use Signal quite a bit. And then I don't know. Then Transform. What else am I using a lot of? I feel like I'm forgetting one. Yeah, I think HDRI Link and HDRI Studio. Those are like my major ones, but we're focused. Like we've got so many new things that we're working on. Oh, and the LUTs, the Gorilla Grade LUTs, I use on all my renders.
Yeah.
Which if you guys should definitely check those out.
Yeah, I will.
Kind of sweeten up your stuff. Yeah, we've got the new Signal updates coming out. We've got a new HDRI pack that I'm stoked about. That's going to be ready for Link and HDRI Studio Rig. And then we also have we're updating some stuff. We've got a new thing that I think I can talk about. We're going to be releasing a set of grunge maps. Cool. So specifically to create wear and tear on things.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, what's great about those is that we're not telling you how to use them. They're just going to be JPEGs that you can bring them into Maya, Max, Cinema, Octane, Arnold. We don't care. But they're awesome ways to like add that like really subtle layer of grime. There's like fingerprints. There's scratches. Cool. They're going to be great. And I've been using them. They've been kind of part of my everyday carry library for a while. Cool. So we're going to put those out. And then I feel like I'm forgetting something, but yeah, we have a ton of stuff coming out. Yeah, it's going to be a great 2017, dude. A lot of stuff. A lot of stuff.
Awesome. Grayscalegorilla.com.
Yep, always. Always, yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Chad. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, man.